Reggie Miller is, how old is Reg? Is he like 52? But when you see Reg, looks like he's in his 40s. Reggie will be on the call with Kevin Harlan for Thunder Spurs this Thursday night. That's at 9:30 Eastern on TNT. Reg, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. Now, the older I got as a basketball player, when I entered 37, 38, and I retired in 39, I was blessed to have a young nucleus around me that propelled me. LeBron Artest, Jermaine O'Neal, Al Harrington, Jonathan Bender, Jamal Tinsley. So Donnie Walsh did a good job of surrounding me with that youth that was the next generation. So that's why we continued to win, was because not only did we have young players that were hungry and talented, but I was fortunate enough to still play with like Austin Crozier, Jeff Foster. My last year, Dale Davis came back. So we still had the influx of veteran players mixed with this youth. I think that's why Tom Brady feels energetic every time he enters the stadium, is because he not only is he playing with young players, but he is still surrounded by the guys that helped win championships with him. So I agree, yeah, we all get old with age, but if you can inject some youth in there at those key positions, that keeps your superstar engaged.
Speaking of youth, if you redrafted, who would be the number one overall pick this year?
Oh, Luka, no question. Look, the game has changed, and I keep saying this, as well as Ayton will be eventually. He'll be a good player. He won't be a great player. Luka will be a great player. In today's age, you've got to have guys that range from 6'5" to about 6'8", 6'9", that can do everything, that can guard multiple positions, that can shoot from range, that can handle the basketball. Big men are dinosaurs, and this game is cyclical, I'm sure, and I'm sure at some point the big men will be relevant again. But in today's game, you've got to have guys that do a little bit of everything. And Ayton runs the floor, and he can face you up and knock down a jump shot. But you're not playing big guys aren't playing with their back to the basket like Shaq, like David Robinson, like Patrick Ewing, like Hakeem Olajuwon, Kareem. Those days are gone. So it's all about face-up, off the dribble, threes, going coast to coast. Luka would be the number one pick, easy.
But why wasn't he taken number one overall? Didn't you have his former coach with the Phoenix Suns?
He did, but, I mean, there wasn't a lot of eyes on him. You know, and look, everyone thinks European players, when they get to the NBA, are soft or they can't play this game. This young man, which people should have understood, was the EuroLeague MVP at like 16 or 17. You tell me what 16 or 17 American player could have gone overseas and played professional and been an MVP. Not many, not one that would come to mind. So I think a few people dropped the ball. But if you were redrafting, no question, I would go with Luka.
If you were a general manager for an NBA team and you were looking at Zion Williamson, or you want to throw in Barrett in there, whoever it is, like, what are you looking for right now that will translate into success in the NBA? Because that's the hard part when you're looking at young players. Can they do what they're doing now against big boys?
Can they guard multiple positions? I'm going to be looking at the defensive end.
Really?
Well, I know what he can do offensively because he has crazy athletic ability. We've all seen the U2 highlights. We just seen that last highlight versus, who was that, Clemson, when he did the 360 dunk. I know the physical gifts that God has blessed him with. Dan, can he play the game of basketball, especially at the defensive end? And he is he's going to be a tweener because what do they list him as at, 6'7", 6'8", which means he's really, 6'4", 6'5"? I hope not. But can he guard multiple positions, and can he have a consistent three-point shot? Those remains the questions on Zion Williams. I know what he's going to do in the open court. I know what he's going to do on the break. Can he rebound his position? Can he guard his position? Can he knock down an open three? These are questions I'm sure every team that puts him through workouts, they're probably going to camp him out on that three-point line and see if he can be consistent.
Yeah, it feels like Barrett of Duke has a better pro game or is more pro ready, but I have to factor in the whole social media aspect too. I mean, I'm selling tickets. If I'm Cleveland and you said I could have Zion or Barrett, I'm taking Zion hands down because I want people to tune in to watch my team. It's like Dallas with Luka. You're tuning in to watch him. Ayton could be better, may have better numbers. You're not tuning in to watch DeAndre Ayton, but you will Luka because there's a uniqueness to this. Zion, there's a uniqueness to this. And I think that's part of when you're trying to sell your team to your fan base that you have to factor in. And I think that with Zion, I would take him number one overall.
On any given night, you could be a leading story on the Mothership Network or, as you mentioned, YouTube and a highlight anytime Zion steps on the floor because of his athletic ability. But my whole thing is he's got to be well-rounded. And, for 30 games, are we going to be able to find that out to see if he's well-rounded? Now that league play has started, you'll get a better gauge of his basketball sense. Because when you're playing non-conference games, you really don't get a sense of that. When you have to face teams in your conference twice, that's when you kind of get a chance to see, in conference tournaments, you get a chance to see who really has game. And I will also throw in Cam Reddish. I think Cam Reddish, his game may translate at the pro level better than it does at Duke because of his ability to stretch the floor and shoot the basketball. Shooting, if you can shoot, I tell young players that now, if you can shoot, that's one thing that can keep you in the league 10 to 15 years, especially in today's game. Having a reliable jump shot and obviously being in the right mix where they utilize that. But if you can shoot the basketball consistently, you will have a job in the association.
Chris Webber was on the show last week. He said Duke would get smoked by the worst NBA team.
Absolutely. It wouldn't even be it would be a joke. I hate when people compare that. Seriously.
Has there been a team, though, Reg, a college team in recent memory? Could the Fab Five have played against the worst NBA team?
No.
Okay.
Of that era or even in today's era, they would have gotten smoked. They would have gotten
It doesn't matter. Okay. But
it does not matter. Now, the only team, and I'm going to go back, that could have competed versus an NBA team was maybe back in those UCLA, when Llewellyn Cinder was a freshman and he couldn't play on the varsity team. Those teams, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But it's such a night and day scenario between college and pros. I mean, you could almost put a collection of college all-stars versus the worst NBA team. It wouldn't be a beatdown. It would be a better game, but the pro team would still win.
I want to bring up the comments that Daryl Morey had to say, the Houston general manager, who said that James Harden could be the best offensive player of all time and could average 40 points a game. Your thoughts?
He's the best offensive player in today's game, no question. With the rules catered to freedom of movement, where you can't touch, and he has mastered how to draw contact in and make you reach and foul and get to the free throw line 11 times a game as a guard. He is the best offensive player in today's game.
Could he average 40?
Now, well, we've seen that over the last, 13, 14 games.
Yeah.
He's averaged 40. So, yeah, I mean, they want freedom of movement, which is great. They want scoring, as you just mentioned, for fans and fan base. That brings eyes to the television and into your arenas. The league encourages that. So I do not argue with Daryl Morey. I agree that he is the best offensive player that this game has seen
since
over the last, probably since Kobe.
Yeah.
Probably since Kobe, because Kobe, the thing that separates to me Kobe and James Harden, Kobe had impeccable footwork. He fundamentally sound. Kobe was as close to MJ that I probably have ever seen. There's a lot of looseness to James Harden's game.
He's got good footwork, though.
You mean when he's doing the 3-step, 4-step?
Reg, I just said good footwork. I didn't say anything about traveling or not. I mean, just good footwork there. Do you think that James Harden could James Harden get 81 points in a game?
I bet you that has crossed his mind.
Because he's got 50, at least 50, 11 times in his career.
81, no. But I would not be surprised if he hits the 70 mark. 81, I don't think will ever be done again. But him and Steph Curry, I think both can knock on the door of 70 because of their abilities to get hot from behind the arc. I mean, both can give you 10 to 15 threes in a game. Harden can get 15 free throws. I will not be surprised if not this season or next, James Harden has a 70-point game.
But I don't see Steph Curry doing it because he has so many other weapons. Unless those guys just go, we're going to feed you. Plus, they're going to blow out somebody. Whereas Houston, that's the key.
You got to remember, it's got to be a close game.
Yeah, the Lakers.
That's what was in Kobe's favor.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. When they faced Toronto, it was a close game that he had to stay in there and play. With Golden State, it feels like it could get away from another team, and Steph wouldn't stay in there. Whereas Houston, Harden may have to stay on the floor. Did you make a big deal over, LeBron in that documentary or the TV show where he talked about after beating Golden State, then he felt like he was the greatest player of all time? I know that made some headlines. What did you make of that?
Well, first of all, I think we want our superstars kind of having that bravado. Look, he said what that's how he feels. If he feels that he's the greatest of all time, it's all subjective. Everyone's going to have their opinion on who they believe is the greatest player, who they win against. I'm sure there's guys in this era that absolutely believe that LeBron James is the greatest of all time because they never had to face Jordan. They never had to face Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Oscar Robertson, Jerry West. So it's all subjective. It's different eras. It's different rules. We just never hear Magic or Michael saying that. And I think it took people by surprise when we actually saw LeBron James saying, that made me the greatest of all time. If that's how he perceives himself, that's great. We want our superstars, thinking they're the best. I felt that I was the best. I knew I wasn't. I would never say that. But you kind of want to, give your team and yourself hope. Personally, I don't believe he's the greatest of all time, but I have no problem with him thinking that he's the greatest of all time.
Because Bird did, and Magic had to think they were the best players of all time. But we didn't have social media, so it wouldn't have rubbed people the wrong way. Like, who does Magic think he is, saying he's better than Oscar Robertson or Kareem, whoever? But with LeBron and social media, it's a great hot take to have where you're going to either be with him or against him. And, I think that's why this got headlines. And
the thing about it is most people witnessed MJ 6 finals, 6-0, 6 finals MVP. And he's still obviously, owner of the Hornets, and he's still relevant in there. So when he says I'm the greatest, when LeBron says I'm the greatest of all time, people are like, what? Hold on a second. Don't forget about that black cat in Chicago. And people need to remember Magic Johnson, Hakeem Olajuwon. It's all subjective. It's who you followed, who was your favorite, what memories you have, what brings you back. LeBron has some very memorable, great moments as an unbelievable player. But he also has some hiccups along the way as well in the finals. You can't say that about MJ. Even the great Magic Johnson. Magic went to the finals, 9 times? And he only won 5 times. So is he in that class? What about the Big O? What about Bill Russell? The most decorated of all our players in the association. So, again, subjective. If he feels that, I have no problem with that. It's just that there's historians that are out there that have seen everyone and would probably be like, kind of slow your roll a little bit, LeBron. I get it. Is he on the Mount Rushmore? You and I have had this conversation. I had to take off my guy. to put him there, and it still pains me.
Okay.
Every day I wake up.
But
I feel like the curse of Larry Bird is going to get me.
Reg, if LeBron wins a title in Los Angeles, can you then say LeBron's the greatest player modern era?
This year or
No, in the
once
next
health comes due?
in the next 3 or 4 years. We got a 4-year window here. If he wins a title with the Lakers, would you then anoint him best player of all time?
No,
Okay.
I will not.
All right.
But that is balling to win 3 championships with 3 different organizations,
Okay.
which I believe has never been done. Correct?
I believe so.
Look that up, Paulie. Yes. So to win one in Miami, Cleveland, and if he eventually wins one in L.A., that's something that Magic, Michael, Larry, Bill Russell, they have no claim to that. But and that black cat.
Yes, Paulie.
There are 2 players to win rings with 3 different teams.
Are they?
Robert Horry.
Yeah, the second one's real tough.
Robert Horry would be one, and
bench player?
Steve Kerr.
James Jones? No, Steve Kerr.
John
good
Sally.
one.
John Sally.
Oh, Detroit, L.A., and Chicago. You're right. Mm-hmm. What a hanger-on. Don't you hate those hanger-on?
Would you have hung on just to win one title?
Yeah. Yeah.
Almost did.
I probably would have hung on.
Almost did.
Yeah, I almost that damn brawl. Come on, don't go in the stand. I'm only kidding.
Yeah, I know.
I'm only kidding.
I know.
But
That damn Ron Artest.
We had a squad that year. We had a squad. That was a squad.
Reg will be on the call with Kevin Harlan for Thunder Spurs this Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern on TNT. Reg, good to talk to you. I'll talk to you soon.
Theodore, you're always the best. Love you, Dan.
Thank you, brother.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.